Any and all comments, theories, and speculation I have ever made about Jessica Moloney were 100% based on media meant for public consumption. Today I am going to address some of the statements I made, why I made them, and every source that they came from.
Who empowers my creativity right now? I would say my partner. He's incredible at really kind of, seeing something that I might be interested in or might be good at, and he really pushes me to be the best version of myself.
I want it to be noted that around the time of this interview, there were insane indications that Jamie Bauer had either already broken up with her or they were going through some kind of separation. The evidence being that she went on a snowboarding trip alone, for some reason, and so did he, early in 2024. Then he just seemed to ghost her from the beginning of 2024. He slowly stopped speaking about her at conventions, he didn't take her anywhere with him, and there were no more trips together or couple selfies. There was also the very strange issue of him leaving a like on this interview on Instagram when everyone knew he was busy at a convention that day, which led to speculation that Jess had control over his account and liked it for him. Though that is not the only reason people thought this, because there were a lot of reasons that one caught people off guard. Namely because no one could understand why he'd get on his phone in the middle of a convention to like an interview that Jess didn't even promote herself. She didn't share this interview on her Instagram account, and Jamie doesn't follow the woman who posted this interview, so how would he have known to get on right then to leave a like and be one of the first people to like it while also busy at a convention? The second thing I want to point out here is, for some reason, she doesn't say his name, she just says partner. Was this because she knew they were over with and she didn't want to get caught in a lie? Was this because Jamie told her not to talk about him in an interview and that was her way around it? Why was she so completely happy name-dropping every celebrity connection she had in 2021, but suddenly in this interview she's not okay with it, and it was left up to the editor of the video, who was not Jess, to insert a picture of them together?
Recently, the new thing that I have learned is how to snowboard.
Alright, rewind that a bit. When she starts this interview, she lists hobbies she has and says that she loves to run, bake, and snowboard. Then here she amends that and says that she only learned this recently, which, what is the definition of recent here? At this point in her life with snowboarding, she'd already been doing it for a few years, dating back to 2021. So is the definition of recent 1 to 2 years? Recently typically means a few weeks ago. For example, she might have learned to snowboard during the current or most recent winter season, which really isn't true because you can see pictures of her doing that with Jamie dating back far more than the previous winter season. And as I said, she's still bad at it despite having gone many times. So, yet another inconsistency in stories? Why would she list this as some sort of long-term hobby she had when she then later goes on to say she only learned how to do it recently?
A huge inspiration for me and a reason that I started my company was that I met a female photographer who I wanted to rep her so much, and she was such a driving force of me, like I say, starting my company.
The female photographer she is speaking about here is Rinelle Medrano. Once again, no idea why she doesn't just use her name. In the previous interview, all she could talk about was how important Rinelle was, and how Rinelle was why she left her job, and how Rinelle was some massive beacon of light that gave her the push to start her own company. And even the implication that she knew Rinelle was going to be huge despite the fact that she would have already been huge by the time Jess met her, and that she had to rep Rinelle only to wind up as, how she describes it, more a personal assistant than a manager or agent. So, why is she suddenly being so vague here? Was it because she knew that Rinelle doesn't credit her as a manager when directly asked?
Recently, I would say my greatest achievement has been graduating as a volunteer with Peace Over Violence. It means so much to me because of my personal connection to the organization, and just being a part of something that is helping people. There's it means so much to me.
I want people to realize that this achievement of hers was taking a weekend class where she got a certificate that grants her permission to do very, very basic volunteer work for this organization. It's not what she will later go on to make it out to be. She took a weekend course and she got a standard certificate. From my research, it allows her to do very little of anything. Some of her jobs may include driving people to appointments or answering a warm line to transfer people in need to a specialist, and that's about it. However, pay attention to what she goes on to say about this and how greatly she exaggerates this accomplishment.
You know, being able to see the photographers that I'm lucky enough to rep now, seeing their work billboarded around the world is such a huge sense of achievement.
There's literally nothing more narcissistic and egotistical that she could have said in this entire answer for what her greatest sense of achievement is than this right here. Though she does say that part of it is her happiness for her clients, how in the world is their work, that she is maybe part of 1% of the time, her greatest achievement? She acts as if she gets to share in any of this, when considering the fact that she lives across the country from any work being done. She's patting herself on the back for what? Phone calls she makes? Emails she sends? Please, Jess. This is called being up your own ass. And yet, she seemingly seems to have no problem with it, even appearing at an award show with Ronelle Medrano and posing with the award as if she herself earned it in any way. I'm sorry, but would any reasonable person hear these words and see her doing that and not think she's a narcissist? Yes, it's just my opinion, but I think it's a reasonable conclusion for anyone to draw hearing this woman speak and seeing how she behaves.
I got involved with Peace Over Violence because I had first-hand experience at using their services.
This quote is alarming to me on several levels. Namely, because Jess was not living full-time in LA, the only place that this organization is based out of, until she started dating Jamie Bauer. At least not to my knowledge. But that's what all the evidence points to, that she was living full-time in the UK until she eventually hooked up with Jamie and moved to the States to be in LA and then later in Malibu. The reason this statement here is concerning is the implications that Jamie was abusive. Why else would she have said that she has first-hand experience at using their services? If she were in an abusive relationship before moving to LA, then there would have been no reason to approach this organization since she'd have gone somewhere else for that relationship in the UK where she was living before Jamie. What first-hand experience does she need to have with them? And why? Keep in mind she said she has first-hand experience, not that they helped a friend or family member, it was for her. But why? How? She'd only ever been with Jamie in the time period she was also in California.
I was made aware that they have a volunteer program, and it was during I signed up and I got accepted onto the volunteering program for violence prevention specialist.
This is where she is making it out to be a much bigger deal than it actually is. My first question is about how she had first-hand experience with their services. When would this have been? Before Jamie? Hypothetically, let's say she was in some abusive relationship before she started dating Jamie in California, which seems improbable but definitely possible. So say she went to that organization because of that, which would have been, at earliest, 2021 or so. But she was only made aware of this volunteer program when? In 2023, right? However, that doesn't make sense either because right on their website they have a whole link for getting involved and volunteering. And I have no doubt in my mind if you go to their actual center in person there's signs up about how they need volunteers because it was a non-profit organization. So she was made aware of this years later? Only in 2023? After she got help with this violent partner she was with before Jamie? Did this partner even exist? Or are her statements trying to imply that Jamie was the violent one to her and that's why she sought them out? If so, then why did she stay with Jamie? She herself in the interview says that one of their specialties is intervention. And if you look at the website, nowhere on the website does it say that they are going to counsel you and your partner. It mostly speaks about how they help women get out of domestic violence situations. Peace Over Violence would have never told her to go back to him or that house. They'd have helped her leave if she didn't have the means to leave, but according to Jess, who has this super successful business, she should have been fine on that end. Next, we have her acting like being accepted into this volunteer program is some prestigious thing when it's a volunteer program. I contacted Peace Over Violence myself and said I wanted to do the same program as her and how can I sign up? They didn't make me fill out a form or anything, they just said you have to be in the LA area and you have to be available at said date or time. So what the hell is she going on about that she was accepted into this program? They'll literally accept anyone who asks. It's not the huge honor that she's making it out to be, and no, she did not become some kind of counselor or prevention specialist because she took a 2-day class and got a certificate. You can see right on the certificate that the classes weren't even that long. Does no one see how she completely inflates this accomplishment into something it definitely isn't?